What if I told you the future of electric vehicles didn't begin in Silicon Valley, didn't emerge from Europe, but was born in Africa? A breakthrough so radical, it defies the limits of batteries, chargers, and even traditional energy. This is a story of Africa's self-powered EV technology, a revolution that has just found its first home in China. And trust me, this changes everything. Forget charging stations. Forget waiting hours for your EV to power up. Imagine a car that powers itself while you drive. Clean, endless, unstoppable. Africa engineered it. China scaled it. And now, the entire world is asking, who will control the future of mobility? It began with a dream. Engineers and innovators across Africa asked a daring question. What if an electric vehicle didn't need external charging at all? Drawing from renewable energy systems, kinetic recovery, and groundbreaking generator designs, they created a prototype that could run almost indefinitely, a self-powered EV, a technology born from necessity, where charging infrastructure is scarce, but creativity is boundless. So, why is China the first to adopt it? The answer lies in speed and scale. While African startups pioneered the concept, China's manufacturing giants saw the potential to mass-produce it. Within months, factories that once produced batteries and motors were retooled to bring Africa's self-powered EV system to life. For China, this isn't just another EV. It's a chance to leapfrog Tesla, BYD, and every competitor on the planet. The ripple effect is immediate. Western automakers, already scrambling to match Chinese EV prices, are now staring down a bigger threat, a car that doesn't rely on their charging networks at all. Oil giants, battery manufacturers, and even governments are realizing the implications. What happens when drivers no longer need to stop for gas or even for a charge? But make no mistake, this isn't just China's story. The blueprint comes from Africa, and the recognition of African ingenuity is now impossible to ignore. For decades, Africa has been seen as a supplier of raw materials. Now, it is exporting raw innovation, the kind that could rewrite the rules of global technology. So here we are, Africa's self-powered EV tech, scale first in China, and sending shockwaves across the globe. But the question remains, who will own the future? Will Africa take its rightful place as a technology powerhouse? Will China lock down the market before anyone else catches up? Or is the world about to enter the greatest energy revolution of our time? One thing is certain. The age of self-powered vehicles has begun, and the world will never be the same. Already, we're seeing a tug-of-war unfold. The United States, Europe, Japan, and South Korea are rushing to secure patents, negotiate licensing, and court African innovators. Governments are asking, should this technology remain open to the world, or will it be locked behind trade deals and corporate monopolies? The battle lines are forming. Innovation versus control, accessibility versus power. The shockwaves go beyond the auto industry. Oil exporters are beginning to worry. If self-powered EVs scale globally, entire economies tied to petroleum may collapse. Meanwhile, battery manufacturers are bracing for impact. If cars no longer need massive lithium-ion packs, the trillion-dollar race for rare earths and lithium could grind to a halt. Imagine the geopolitical map redrawn, not by war or resources, but by a car that powers itself. And yet, Africa faces a dilemma of its own. While its innovators gave the world this breakthrough, its factories, infrastructure, and political systems are still catching up. Will Africa become just a brain, while others control the body of production? Or can this moment spark a renaissance, where Africa doesn't just invent, but manufactures, exports, and leads? The truth is, this story is only beginning. Africa has planted the seed. China has built the tree. Now, the fruits of this innovation will reshape industries, economies, and societies. The world must decide, will this be a technology for few or a revolution shared by all? The race is on and every nation is watching, because the next chapter might not just change cars. It might change energy, trade, and the very balance of global power. The ripple doesn't stop with cars. Imagine cargo ships that never refuel, airplanes that cross oceans without burning a drop of kerosene, and trains that run endlessly across continents. Engineers are already exploring how the same African-born technology can scale into aviation, shipping, and even space exploration. If an EV can power itself, what else could? Tech giants are circling like hawks. Tesla, Toyota, Hyundai, and Volkswagen are racing to strike deals with African labs. Energy firms are pivoting, trying to rebrand themselves from oil suppliers to energy solution providers. The world's biggest corporations know one thing. Whoever controls self-powered technology doesn't just win the EV market, they win the future of global transportation. But with every revolution comes resistance. Already, whispers of sabotage, cyber attacks, and industrial espionage are spreading. Oil lobbies and battery conglomerates stand to lose trillions. Would they allow such a disruption without a fight? The self-powered EV isn't just a machine. It's a weapon in the global economic battlefield. And at the heart of it all, Africa, the continent that gave birth to this idea, now faces a historic choice: to license the technology and collect royalties, or to rise as a manufacturing superpower in its own right. Universities, startups, and governments are rallying, debating whether to share the crown jewel freely or guard it fiercely as Africa's ticket to global leadership. One thing is clear: the self-powered revolution is no longer science fiction. It is here. It is real. And it will decide not just who drives tomorrow, but who leads the world. Military strategists are already asking hard questions. What happens when tanks, drones, or even naval fleets can operate without fuel supply lines? Wars have always been fought over resources: oil, gas, coal. But what if the battlefield no longer depends on them? Nations that adopt self-powered systems first could dominate both land and sea, rewriting the very doctrine of global security. And then there is space. Rockets today depend on tons of fuel, limiting how far we can travel. But what if spacecraft could harness this self-sustaining power? Suddenly, lunar bases, Martian colonies, even interplanetary cargo routes become more than a dream. The same African technology that redefined the car could redefine humanity's destiny among the stars. Back on Earth, societies are bracing for an earthquake. If cars don't need charging or gas, millions of jobs tied to fuel stations, repair shops, and supply chains could vanish. Entire industries may collapse, while new ones rise. Education systems are scrambling to train a workforce for a future that looks nothing like the past. Self-powered technology isn't just an innovation. It's a revolution that touches every single life. Through it all, Africa stands as both architect and guardian. Young visionaries are stepping onto the world stage, no longer asking permission to innovate. Their message is clear. Africa will not be just a supplier of raw materials, but a leader of raw ideas. The world must now listen, because the source of the future has shifted. And this is only the beginning. By 2040, the world looks nothing like it did 2 decades earlier. Cities hum with vehicles that never need charging. Skies are filled with silent self-powered aircraft, and trade routes are dominated by fleets that never stop to refuel. Nations that embrace the African innovation early are thriving. Those that resisted are scrambling to catch up. The balance of power has shifted, not by armies or empires, but by an idea born from necessity in Africa and unleashed by China's scale. The environment has changed too. Carbon emissions from transport have plummeted. Cleaner air sweeps across industrial cities, and oil spills are relics of the past. But new challenges rise. How to recycle the first-generation vehicles, how to prevent tech monopolies from controlling access, and how to ensure this technology benefits all, not just the powerful. Out of this shift comes something unexpected: a new alliance. African nations, backed by Asia's manufacturing might, form partnerships with South America and Southeast Asia. Together, they build a Tech South, a coalition of nations once considered followers, now leading the charge into the future. The traditional powers of the West are forced to adapt, negotiate, and collaborate, or risk being left behind. Humanity now faces its greatest question: how will we use this power? Will self-powered technology unite us, freeing billions from energy poverty, bringing clean mobility to every corner of the globe? Or will it divide us, locked behind patents, sparking new conflicts over who controls the keys to the future? The story of Africa's self-powered EVs has become much larger than cars. It is now the story of humanity's next chapter. And as the pages turn, one truth echoes louder than ever: By 2050, humanity has crossed a threshold. Self-powered technology has evolved from cars and planes into entire ecosystems. Cities themselves are designed around it. Buildings generate and store their own energy. Transport systems run indefinitely, and even household appliances feed off miniature self-sustaining generators. The energy grid, as we once knew it, is fading into history. For ordinary people, life is transformed. No more energy bills, no more reliance on fossil fuels, no more waiting for electricity in rural villages. Remote African communities, once off-grid, are now fully connected. Schools, hospitals, and businesses powered endlessly. What began as an African invention has become humanity's great equalizer. Economists call it the energyless economy. When power becomes free and infinite, industries shift their focus to creativity, production, and innovation instead of survival. Factories no longer shut down to save fuel. Transport costs shrink. Even farming is transformed. Fleets of autonomous tractors run endlessly, feeding billions with unprecedented efficiency. And as Earth stabilizes, humanity looks outward. Self-powered spacecraft, no longer chained to limited fuel reserves, begin deep space missions. Colonies on the Moon and Mars thrive with near-limitless energy. Suddenly, interstellar dreams once locked in science fiction move into reality. For the first time, humanity can ask not just how to survive on Earth, but how to expand beyond it. All because of an idea born from a continent often overlooked. Africa's spark has become humanity's fire, a fire now burning across Earth and beyond. And so, from humble workshops in Africa to sprawling factories in China, from silent city streets to the vast silence of space, a single idea reshaped our world. The self-powered revolution did not belong to one nation, one company, or one leader. It belonged to humanity. For the first time in history, energy was no longer a chain, it was freedom. The story of Africa's self-powered EVs is more than technology. It is proof that the future can come from anywhere, and that when necessity meets imagination, entire civilizations can change. We are the witnesses of this great turning point. The age of self-powered living has begun, and its legacy will carry forward for centuries. From Africa's spark to China's scale to humanity's shared destiny, this is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of everything. Xiaodo Tech, where innovation meets the road. The future of mobility starts here, only on Xiaodo Tech. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating stories about Elon Musk, Maxwell, Tesla, and the future of innovation. Until next time, keep imagining the impossible.